A Search in Vedic India, Chapter 18, Confirmation from Scriptures. The next week, they spent time listening to the CDs given by Swami and discussing various topics in between the lectures. Albert was astonished while listening to the lectures on each Upanishad, as he found confirmation of what he understood in them. He felt happy that what he understood was not his imagination, and the same thing was visualized by great saints long back. One day, walking on the Godavari Bund, they sat at one place under a tree. Looking at Vimala, though I am looking at you sitting there with a form, I am experiencing you only as awareness, said Albert. Looking at the cow tied to a tree, Vimala said, I am seeing the cow there with a form. I am not experiencing anything else except cow, said Vimala. This can be analyzed in more than one premise. Let us take the first premise. Here you are under the impression that you are limited to the body, and therefore your body is viewing a different object at a distance with a form. You are ignoring your awareness called druk and keeping the attention completely on the form of the object called drishyam. On the other hand, if you shift your attention from the object to your awareness, how is the cow there? Did the cow enter you physically? It is just awareness, and the cow is nothing but a thought. But you are taking the thought to be real, explained Albert. What is another premise? Asked Vimala. In this premise, it is a state where you recognize that your awareness has no form and therefore not limited to the body. When you look at the cow with form, your awareness is already covering the cow on all sides, and the cow is nothing but awareness to you. For that, you have to recognize your Swarupam. In that state, only awareness is experienced, though you look at the cow. Here you know that it is a thought and also know that thought is nothing but your awareness. Yes, understood intellectually, said Vimala with a smile. The same thing can be explained in another way by applying the dream phenomena. In the dream, thought is appearing like a dream. Vimala in the dream and the objects in the dream appear simultaneously. Both are not separate. You know that clearly after waking up. In the waking state also, the same thing is happening. In witness awareness, due to its inherent power, Vimala and cow are appearing simultaneously as a thought. Just like they are not separate in the dream, in waking also they are not separate. You cannot separate subject and object in thought. It can be explained in another way also. Let us take your awareness as a mirror. Taking the reflection of the cow in the mirror, you are believing it to be true. But I will not go to the reflection. I look at the surface of the mirror only, and therefore I take the cow as awareness only. That is why I do not notice any change in my awareness when I look at the cow. All these riddles will be solved only when you recognize that your eye awareness is not limited to the body, explained Albert. Vimala thought over the matter and understood what Albert said. This point I explained now is not my literary effort. All this was explained in the famous 10 Psalms on Lord Dakshinamurti composed by Adi Shankara. Whatever that is to be learned is in those 10 Psalms. After listening to the commentary on the 10 Psalms, I prostrated to the great seer before his portrait in your traditional way. Great wisdom, said Albert. What else is there in those Psalms? Asked Vimala. As the light kept in a pot with holes spreads out, awareness expresses itself through the 5 senses, starting with eyes, etc. That means whatever you experience through the 5 senses is awareness only. Due to ignorance, some thought body as self, some breathing as self, some senses as self, some intellect as self, some blankness as self. A right teacher like Dakshinamurti only would lead to true self, negating all these, explained Albert. So, what all you listened tallied with what you understood, said Vimala. Yes, that is correct. In Kena Upanishad, the truth revealed through the pot with holes above was explained differently. The real eye is not the eyeball. There is a different eye which sees your eye. Similarly, if you go on questioning eye to eye, ear to ear, mind to the mind, you would end up with awareness which is behind all these. In another Upanishad, they talk of alatham. Coir and other material are made into a ball with a combustible covering and then tied to a long rope. After lighting the ball, it is rotated freely to view the formations made by the fireball in different shapes. Albert paused. Oh, that one, I remember. We used to make it for every Diwali function, said Vimala. Your awareness is like that ball. Wherever you look, awareness only appears in different forms of objects. So, without your awareness, there are no objects, said Albert. Albert shared many points he noted from the scriptures with Vimala. They visited Swami after listening to most of the CDs given by him. It took more than 2 months to listen to all CDs. Swami looked at Albert and said, after inquiring into yourself, you recognize that there is nothing other than infinite existence consciousness. The same infinite existence consciousness appears in different forms as the world without any change in itself. You have recognized that all the forms are nothing but consciousness. So now he knows Brahman, said Vimala. Listening to your statement, an explanation in Kena Upanishad came to my mind, said Albert. Swami listened to their conversation with a smile. What is it? Asked Vimala. A person who says that he knows Brahman does not know, and a person who says that he does not know Brahman, he knows, said Albert. How could it be? Please elaborate, said Vimala. What all that exists is infinite consciousness. It cannot be an object to anything else. If a person says that he knows Brahman, he is objectifying it, which is impossible. On the other hand, if anybody says that he does not know, he is saying that he can't know as an object but only recognize Brahman only subjectively. In such a case, for a person who recognizes Brahman, there is nothing to do with the world, asked Vimala. Why not? He carries out worldly transactions like anybody else. But he does not have any aversion or attachment for anything in the world and continues to live with an equanimity, explained Albert. Swami noticed that Albert grasped the essence of scriptures in addition to the direct understanding of truth. Vimala addressed Swami and asked, how does death affect such a person? Your question must be answered from 2 levels. One is the relative stage and the second is the absolute stage. In the first stage, your awareness is limited to the body. The second one is a stage where your awareness is not limited to your body and you recognize that all objects, including your body, are like reflections in a mirror and not real. That means the second stage is where you recognize your Swarupam. In that stage, since awareness is infinite, there is neither birth nor death. A relative stage is the stage of ignorance. It is a stage where you are mistaking a rope as a snake in the twilight. You take all the objects with form as real objects while they are nothing but awareness appearing thus. Swamiji stopped and asked Vimala whether she was following. In a stage where truth is not recognized, what is death? What exactly happens then? Please explain, asked Vimala. In the relative world, the most feared word by all is death. Most of the questions that arise on death are, What exactly happens when one dies? Where does the personality go with all its likes and dislikes, which was performing multifarious activities till then? All these questions end in a great mystery on the whole process of death and on what happens thereafter. These are all the questions for which there are no satisfying answers from the first hand experience, said Swami. Then there is no way to understand? Asked Vimala. Nature has allowed grasping some idea about death if one closely observes the process of death one daily undergoes. Deep sleep is nothing but death, although temporarily, to the person who sleeps, said Swami. Sleep is only for a short period, but it is not the case with the death, remarked Vimala. What you want to know is what happens during death. By observing the process of sleep, one could have an understanding of death also. When one prepares himself to go to sleep, initially for some time there is a struggle with thoughts. Could you tell me at what exact point you would slip into sleep? Asked Swami. No, it happens without our knowledge, said Vimala. So, without one's conscious knowledge, one slips into sleep. One is not conscious of the exact moment at which one slips into sleep, and thereafter it is blank till he wakes up. Even the waking from sleep also is not a conscious effort. After waking, one realizes that he woke up. There is no individual effort involved in the exact moment of entering the sleep, nor when one wakes up. Who is taking over all these moments of slipping into sleep and waking? It is your experience that some higher power is operating to slip you into sleep and also to wake you up. What I earlier mentioned, I will recall here again. Your awareness has inseparable Sat and Chit. We also noted that the Sat aspect is the dynamic aspect of awareness. Deep sleep state is nothing but an appearance of darkness or awareness due to the operation of inherent power in awareness. What happens in deep sleep also happens in death. If you wake up in the same body, it is sleep. If you do not wake up, it is death. Whether he wakes up in another body or not is based on a belief system. Does he go to heaven or hell after death? Asked Vimala. That is again based on belief. We do not want to accept any beliefs described by anybody or any books in our investigation. If you put a question, to whom is the death, that may lead you to correct understanding, said Swami. Is death not to the individual? Suppose Mr. X died today. That means the individual Mr. X died. We may see his dead body also lying like a corpse, said Vimala. There lies the secret. Seeing the mortal remains, you are saying Mr. X passed away. But to whom is the death? His body is lying there only, asked Swami. His life breath has gone, is it not? Asked Vimala. In your view, life implies breathing and heartbeat in his body. They are indicators of power in the body. If there are no indicators, you are saying that Mr. X is not there. Now we have Mr. X's body and power in his body. Power, Shakti or Sat, is not a product and therefore it has no form. Anything that has no form is infinite like space. Just like the electricity that was giving light till then stops giving light when the bulb is broken, the display of power stops when the body dies. We should not forget that even in the body lying inert after death, power exists. Only thing is, it stopped displaying it. We are terming the absence of display of power indicators as death. Though the bulb stopped functioning, electricity still exists, said Swami. Mr. X is not his body. It is okay. Does Mr. X mean only his life breath? Asked Vimala. You can know that from your own experience. Now you understand that you are different from your body. Let us come to the body separately. Other than the body, what are you? We have understood that other than body, there is a power in the body. If we have an understanding of this power, all the doubts on death could be understood. Does a person have a power other than life breath? Asked Vimala. Do you not feel anything other than life breath? Your thoughts, feelings of pleasure and pain, etc. Thoughts and feelings could be termed as mind. The mind is nothing but thoughts, and these thoughts accumulate in the body. While some recent thoughts may remain operative, many thoughts accumulated over several years may remain at a subconscious level. They are called vasanas, said Swami. So, can we say that an individual means life breath plus the mind, which includes all the accumulated impressions, that is vasanas? Asked Vimala. Who is aware of the life breath and the thoughts that are imminent or latent? If you are aware of your thoughts, you must be different from them. That is your I awareness, which is not an object to anything else, said Swami. Though Vimala has understood this from earlier discussions, for clarity's sake, she wanted to put some questions. So, can we say that an individual is the total of his body, life breath, accumulated thoughts, and the awareness that is witnessing all these? When a death occurs, can we say that other than body all else goes away? Asked Vimala. What are or where would they go? We will come to them later. You have understood that you are not the body, not the life breath, not the thoughts and feelings, but you are that I awareness that is witnessing all these, is it not? Asked Swami. If I am not all those, that life breath, thoughts, etc., what are they? Asked Vimala. Since your I awareness is aware of them, they are all objects to your I awareness. Unless you understand the relationship between your I awareness and all those objects, you will not understand the whole thing. We already understood that your I awareness has two inseparable components, existence and awareness, Sat and Chit. Now, could we say that Mr. X means the life breath plus the total of accumulated thoughts appeared due to the power of Sat in I awareness? Asked Swami. So, in addition to the body, life breath and accumulated thoughts are created by the power of I awareness, said Vimala, trying to understand what Swami said. No, they are not created by I awareness. I awareness only due to its inherent power of Maya appear as body, life breath and thoughts without any change in itself. It may sound paradoxical. All the impressions collected through the five senses since childhood accumulate as impressions and form the personality of the individual. It is also part of the body, but it is a thumbnail body. Please note that though it is termed as a thumbnail body, it is not physical. The power only appears thus. It is like a whirlpool in a river. Whirlpools are water only, but there is the power of water there. So life breath and accumulated impressions are nothing but the power in I awareness. Then what is happening in death? Asked Vimala. What is happening in deep sleep? The power in I awareness operates and all the impressions are withdrawn and covered as a veil on awareness. Please note that this veil is nothing but that power only appearing thus. The same power is appearing as waking objects in waking states, as dream objects in a dream, and as the veil in a deep sleep state. When the individual wakes up, the veil goes and the same personality is continued. In the case of death, the individuality of all impressions is withdrawn into that power but remain latent, said Swami. But the body of Mr. X would be still visible to us, said Vimala. To whom it is appearing? You have not yet recognized your Swarupam. You are still limiting yourself to your awareness due to the operation of the same power in I awareness. That is why it appears as separate from you. It has no separate existence of its own. If your awareness is withdrawn, it does not exist. Now you must have understood what death is. In deep sleep, the individuality is withdrawn due to operation of power in awareness. The same thing happens in death also. The individual personality, with all its impressions, is withdrawn into itself due to the inherent power in awareness, explained Swami. In the case of sleep, the same personality is continuing after waking up in the same body. But in death, it is not happening like that, said Vimala. In the case of sleep, personality is continued in the same body as it has not lost its functional capacity due to the operation of power in awareness. But in the case of death, due to the same operation of power in awareness, the body has lost its capacity to function. The bulb is damaged. Functioning as the bulb or losing the capacity to function as a bulb is both due to the inherent power of awareness. After death, does he wake up in another body, taking birth again? Asked Vimala. Now you understand the process of death. Let us take up reincarnation separately, said Swami, getting up. After prostrating to Swami, both of them returned to the guest house.